The Antonov An-225 is the heaviest and longest operational aircraft today. Built during the 1980s, this behemoth was intended to primarily serve the USSR space program, but has gone on to a niche role carrying the heaviest of payloads. At over 30 years old, it has just finished a recent refurbishment, and we're likely to see it carrying out special missions for more than another decade. But what's the story behind this massive plane, and what does its future hold? But first, if you're liking our videos, why not subscribe to get the latest long-haul episodes weekly? And don't be shy, tell your friends too. Now, there are several ways to measure the largest aircraft. By passenger volume, it's the A380 with an exit limit of 853. By fuselage volume, it's the Airbus Beluga XL with a capacity of 2,209 cubic meters. But the Antonov An-225 tops the list in a few areas. It's the heaviest aircraft ever built, with an empty weight of 285 tons, and can carry the highest payload, 250 tons. It's also the longest aircraft built at 84 meters. It beats the new 777-9 by almost 8 meters. If that's not enough, for good measure, it also has 32 wheels and 6 engines. Simple Flying got an exclusive look into how an An-225 operates, courtesy of one of the aircraft's pilots, Dmytro Antonov. I will tell you more about this aircraft. It is 84 meters in length, it has a wingspan of 88 meters, and it's 18 meters high with the tail. When you sit in the aircraft, it is 8.5 meters from the pilot's eyes to the ground. This aircraft is very comfortable and very convenient to fly. The crew's cabin is spacious. There's quite a big rest zone where 6 people can have a rest, and it's possible to equip 3 or 4 more rooms for rest. The An-225 is different from a regular plane, as she is a cargo plane, not a passenger aircraft. She has a huge cargo cabin with a volume of 1,150 meters cubed. If you want to know more about Dmytro, check out his channel, Dmytro Antonov, where he chronicles his work with Antonov Airlines. Known as Mriya, which means dream, the An-225 was built by the USSR within the Ukrainian SSR in the 1980s. At the time, the USSR was developing a reusable space vehicle known as Buran, similar to the US space shuttle. Ultimately, the government knew Buran would need to be moved from its construction site to its launch area and then recovered after its return. The An-225 was designed and built for this purpose. The aircraft could transport the Buran space shuttle on top of its fuselage, while additional pieces of the shuttle could be carried as cargo. The An-225 was actually developed as an enlarged version of the already popular An-124. The Dash 124 was likewise designed by Antonov during the 1980s and first flew in 1982. It entered service in 1986, 2 years before the An-225, and it remains one of the largest aircraft still flying today. Today, 24 An-124 aircraft remain in use, according to data from chaviation.com. 6 of these are operated by Ukrainian airline Antonov Airlines, 6 by Russian airline Volga-Dnepr, 6 by Voyannaya Transportnaya Aviatsya, and 1 by UAE-based Maximus Air Cargo. The rest are operated by the Russian Air Force. They fly regular cargo missions all over the world, and at a time when many airlines are retiring older aircraft, the An-124s have seen plenty of use during the pandemic. Basing the design of the An-225 on the An-124 saved development time and cost. The same fuselage structure and engines, Progress D-18T engines, were used. 2 engines were added for a total of 6, and the fuselage was extended by around 15 meters. To remove weight and better handle the top-loaded payload, Antonov removed the rear cargo access, but it retained the same opening nose and the lowering nose gear, which allows the aircraft to kneel when loading cargo. Engineers also changed the tail design from the An-124. The single vertical stabilizer was switched to a twin tail with 2 vertical stabilizers and a larger horizontal stabilizer. This would provide better handling with the large payload on top of the aircraft. Construction of the fuselage, tail and the final assembly took place at Antonov's facilities in Kyiv. The wings and wing center were built by the state-owned Uzbekistan company Valery Chakalov in Tashkent and transported to Kyiv using an An-225 transporter. The Buran spacecraft only flew one unmanned mission in 1988. It returned successfully, but even though future launches were planned, they never ended up taking place. Additionally, the collapse of the USSR led to the suspension of the space program, and 2 additional orbiters were never completed. The one existing Buran was stored in Kazakhstan, but it was destroyed when a hangar roof collapsed in 2002. The An-225 suffered a similar decline, at least initially. After use for the first Buran flight, it made appearances at the Paris Air Show in 1989 and the Farnborough Air Show in 1990. It went into storage in 1994 with the 6 engines removed and reused on an An-124 aircraft. In 1995, Imria finished her work and unfortunately hit the scrap heap. We cannot call it a museum. The aircraft was grounded for 6 long years. Thanks to our general designer Petro Balabuyev's willpower and aspirations, in 2001 the aircraft was restored, certification tests were completed, and her airworthiness certificate was received. The An-225 entered commercial service in 2001. While 2 An-225 were originally ordered, only 1 aircraft was ever completed. That model currently flies with registration Uniform Romeo 82060. The other An-225 was under construction when the Buran project ended and Ukrainian Antonov Airlines took ownership of it. Work resumed in 2009 and saw it nearly 70% complete. There was interest in 2016 from China and reports about a potential sale to the Airspace Industry Corporation of China. However, it remains unfinished, and according to comments from Antonov Airlines CEO Alexander Donets in 2020, it most likely will never be completed, as it's unlikely that anyone would recover the costs with its limited potential operations. Donets said, "According to estimates made in 2012, when our relations with Russia were good, the costs of construction have reached nearly $460 million for the old specifications it was built with. Most importantly, nearly 35% of the world's airports can't provide landing space for Mria. Because of its dimensions and wingspan, it doesn't fit runway strips. We'll not recoup the costs." While finishing the second Antonov may be prohibitively expensive, subscribing to our channel for new episodes is completely free. And don't forget to click that notification bell too. Irrespective of the siblings' fate, the lone An-225 remains busy today. The aircraft sees several charters each year. This has included plenty of oversized heavy cargo such as generators and construction equipment, military equipment, and large humanitarian loads. If you're wondering about the cost of chartering the An-225, the BBC estimated it to be around $30,000 per hour in its analysis. Some of the more interesting missions have included: in January 2002, one of the aircraft's first missions after being recertified, it flew 187.5 tons of prepared meals for troops from Germany to an American military base in Oman. In June 2004, it flew from Prague to Tashkent with 4 pipe-laying machines, setting a payload record of 247 tons. It set the record for the heaviest single cargo item in August 2009, flying a 189-ton generator to Armenia for implementation in a gas power plant. Then, in June 2010, it carried the longest ever air cargo, two 41.2-meter wind turbine blades from China to Denmark. During the pandemic, several medical missions have taken place, including a record for cargo volume on April 14, 2020, when it carried 1,000 cubic meters of equipment from China to Poland. With the current high demand for cargo, caused in part by fewer passenger aircraft flying and carrying cargo, the An-225 should remain busy for some time to come. The airframe is, of course, aging. As of 2021, it has been 32 years since its first flight, but it has seen much less use than a standard commercial airliner. Antonov Airlines has previously claimed it would have a lifespan of 45 years, and after completing an 18-month refurbishment at the end of 2020, it's expected to remain in service until at least 2033. The An-225 is an amazing aircraft and fills a niche role. Have you ever seen it in action? Feel free to share your experiences in the comments. And if you'd like to see more of Dmytro and the An-225, check out his channel, Dmytro Antonov. Did you know that we publish over 175 stories every single week on simpleflying.com? Be sure to check the link in the description for more great stories just like this.